In this video, we explore the historical context of our church buildings, and archaeology expert Humphrey Welfare talks about Brough by Sands Church as a case study on how archaeology and geology are both important factors in determining what a building is made of, and how understanding the construction and fabric of a building can help with both better maintenance and future management to create changes that can really have a positive impact.
These medieval buildings have always changed, and they will continue to change, and they must change if they're going to be useful to us now and in the future. But in order for that change to be as positive as possible, we have to look after the significance of the building, to understand how the building is developed and what parts of it are very significant and would be difficult to change, and what parts of it, very importantly, are not so significant, and that's where some of the changes can easily take place.
And there are lots of clear examples of historical change we can still see today if we know where to look.
One of the clearest examples of change here is easily visible in the south wall, which was rebuilt in the 14th century with flat-headed windows. And those windows were replaced probably several times, and what we see now are the Victorian pointed windows. They've still got the flat heads of the 14th century windows above them. So you can see immediately that there is change has happened.
Discovering the history of a building can also reveal some of the answers.
It's quite a complicated building, but it started as a simple 12th century church. It's made largely of Roman stones because we're next to Hadrian's Wall. The church itself stands on the Roman fort of Abarlava. So a lot of the masonry has been reused more than once. The Roman stones are quite easy to spot, especially in the tower here, because they're all very squared blocks of a distinctive size, and many of them have been shaped, what we call dressed, in a crisscross way. It's really about asking questions and being curious. What's that? How did that get there? How does this bit relate to that bit? That understanding is absolutely crucial, not just to big projects, but actually to daily care.
They've also used understanding to inform the management of change.
One of the issues here 10 years ago was disabled access. From the north door, you open directly onto 2 steps down. But because the PCC understood the church and had a good look at what the options could be, a way was found to provide level access by reopening a late medieval door that would provide access to the north aisle without any steps at all. And although that door had been blocked for a couple of centuries, it was a relatively easy change to make.
A successful outcome because they understood the building. And there are other constant needs a building might have.
In order to look after a building like this, you have to keep an eye on it, see what it's doing, see what changes are happening. Now we know here that as part of the cycle of maintenance, as in most parishes, some repointing is required on the tower. And one of the indications of that is that you begin to get a little bit of vegetation growing in the cracks in the mortar. And just watching out for that sort of sign helps you to come to a timetable of maintenance.
It's not just big changes, but daily care and maintenance are important too.
Well, the great thing is to keep looking at what's happening on the building, as you know better than I do, with some of the vegetation visible there.
When we have the scaffolding up for the building work in August, that's something we can deal with at the same time, and it really is important. And as you were saying earlier, it's a symptom, of course, of the fact that we need this work done. You pointing in the areas where it's deteriorating quite badly.
Two things are happening up here, aren't there? There are some places where the pointing's fallen out,
Yes.
and inevitably, and also the opportunity to remove and replace some of the cement pointings.
Yes.
It's a lot to do, but one can see how the mortar has cracked here. So a really helpful indication. But using that chance to
Yes.
replace some of the hard 19th century and 20th century mortar be a really good opportunity.
Will.
And the changes are not just confined to maintenance and repair. They can also help a church diversify, as Caroline Baines explains.
Well, all churches try now to have more than one role. Sunday worship is obviously our main raison d'etre, but we always try to diversify. We've got a good village hall, we've got a post office. What we could offer and do is a ministry to visitors. It's a ministry on two levels. It's a ministry in the sense that people can come into a holy place, they may bump into God when they're here. We have a faith trail which people can do with stations around the church. And the other level is a ministry to visitors in the sense that just they come in, they see a lovely building, they want to have a look at it. We're open, available, welcoming. And when we did the project, we wanted to, in a sense, you might say it was part of maintenance, in the sense we were trying to ensure a future for this building beyond what it would normally only do. We have the Hadrian's Wall path and cycleway, which has 10,000 people in both cycle and walking every year past the door. Wonderful opportunity, and a lot of our visitors are from that source, and they come from all over the world, and they're fascinating people. And we estimate that we get about 9,000 visitors a year here. Before the project, it was considerably fewer. In fact, it was a free church project. Beamont that way and Bonus to the west. We all joined together and all had different things as part of the project. But each of us, from the baseline we started, our visitor numbers went up 400%, which is quite amazing. And we offer school visits, and we have reenactment clothes and projects and things professionally done that schools can use for the many stories, and there are many stories, connected with this particular church. So by having the timeline outside, disabled access, a loo and a kitchen, and all the things, visitor interpretation panels, we've been able to open up the church and give it an entirely new dimension.
A Heritage Lottery Fund and other grants have enabled them to turn the base of the West Tower into a mini museum with displays telling the story of the church, and the changes are having a positive impact.
I think it's just been immensely good for the village. It really, we're on the map now. I think, well, the wall walk has done that, but it's something exciting for people to do this side of Carlisle, where there was a long flat bit before, and we've been able to make it more interesting. I mean, just an example, I called in yesterday to unlock the church. The person who normally does this away, and there were 2 visitors on the path already at 9:20. Before I'd left the church, 2 more came in. As I was turning the car, another 3 arrived, and this is first thing in the morning on a Monday, so it's a big impact. And of course, the more people who go through, if people open bed and breakfast, tea rooms, all of that, everybody benefits really.
The changes have allowed people to think more creatively about the use of the church in the future, and to feel that if further change is necessary, then it can be undertaken. I'm just a volunteer. I have some specialist skills, but most people can learn some of those skills. And what I've enjoyed here is being able to contribute to people's appreciation of this place. And it does have some extraordinary stories connected with it, as most parishes do, if people will take the time to discover them. So yeah, it's been fun. These are precious buildings, but we should not be precious about them. They need maintenance, they need change, and to do that we need some understanding.